Hello, my name is Philip Rulo with Rultract, and I want to go over how to avoid or eliminate any cable issues that you might be having with your Rultract retractor system. I have to say we have over 6,000 units in the field, and we have a minuscule amount of reported cable issues, and those issues can all be attributed in one way or another to user error. So if we can eliminate that user error, obviously we're going to eliminate cable issues. First thing in SPD, when the equipment comes to you from the OR, it's going to come in like this. Most likely, it may not have the rake plate attached. Either way, we need to disassemble it, as you all know. So I'm not going to get into details here because we have other online instructions as well as manuals and videos that can be watched. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this snap clip down. We're going to pull the cable from the spool. First thing to note is I'm not going to use that handle to unwind the cable, ever, whether it be an SPD or the OR. So what we're going to do is pull the cable from the spool. Okay, now we're going to disassemble the unit. So it's disassembled into the 5 pieces and it's ready for cleaning. Once the cleaning process is complete, we in SPD are going to reassemble this unit for sterilization. If you were sterilizing it as a disassembled unit, you were not following the instructions, which could lead to cable issues. All of our parameters were tested for this piece to be sterilized as an assembled unit, as is clearly indicated in the instructions. So we're going to go ahead and assemble this. One of the issues that can cause a cable problem is if these 2 pieces are not put together properly. Now, if you're asking the OR and a surgeon, and maybe a surgeon that's not familiar with this, to assemble this equipment during the case, that can only lead to problems with the cables. So if you follow the instructions, this is supposed to be assembled in SPD. Again, all of our parameters are tested that way. So very important to put this together correctly. You'll see on the spool, there is a flat surface. That flat surface, you're going to let the cable hang over the flat surface, and then you're going to align that flat surface with the cable guide. So you go ahead and put those 2 together. They go together very easily. If they're not aligned properly, it will cause issues with the cable. So next, we're going to continue to assemble our retractor. Very important point here is there is a pin on the spool cap cover. That pin has to be inserted into the kidney groove. If it isn't, it could cause issues with the cable and the way that the system winds up. Now you're going to put your spool cap nut on. You want to hand tighten this as tight as you can get it. Now another very important point is when you wind this cable up, and this cable should be wound up into the spool for sterilization, according to our sterilization parameters. So what you're going to want to do is to wind this cable up. In order to be sure that the cable winds uniformly on the spool, you have to, at the very least, let the snap clip hang. Let the cable hang straight. If you're sitting at your desk in SPD and you start to wind it with the cable not being straight, then it may not wind uniformly on the spool. So it's important to at least stand up or move to the side and let it hang. I always suggest adding the rake plate because the rake plate adds the extra weight that is necessary to make sure that cable is going to wind up uniformly on the spool. So I'm going to stand up or move to the side, let it hang, and I'm going to wind it up. Then after I do that, I'm going to flip the reversing lever and I'm going to pull it back down, and then I'm going to wind it up again. I leave about 2 to 3 inches of the cable exposed. So what I've done is I've just proven to myself at the very least that this unit functions as designed. So now I can remove the rake plate if I want, or if not, I can keep them together, put them in the tray, and send them off for sterilization. Now you know as an SPD personnel that you check that unit and it works the way it's supposed to. So if it gets to the OR and the OR said it's not working correctly, that's going to be an OR issue. So I'll show you what happens in the OR that could cause that problem. So the equipment has made its way to the OR. The scrub tech or the surgeon will put the retractor onto the top post or the extender bar, and now they need to lower the rake plate down to the incision site. So in order to do that, it's very important that they pull the cable from the spool. Do not use the handle to unwind the cable. That could cause the cable to bunch up on the spool and not function properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the ratchet lever to the opposite side, whichever side that would be, and then I'm going to lower the rake plate down to the sternum and put it into place. Now, what I'm going to do is wind the cable to elevate the sternum. The best way to do that at this point would be to then reverse that lever once again and go ahead and retract. If you follow those instructions, you're not going to have any cable related issues.